Yeah, everyone, this is Thermites, and this is Weekly Shonen Jump for the week of September 18th, 2020. As always, Black Lives Matter, defund the police. Here we have a Chainsaw Man. It has been wild dodging spoilers over the last few days. I've just noticed that, like a lot of posts on various social media that I am on have been Chainsaw Man adjacent, and every time something vaguely comes up, I immediately back out, don't go on that sub anymore, don't go on that thread. Boy. So I imagine there's probably something big in Chainsaw Man. I mean, the last couple of chapters have all been very big, so I would have guessed that anyways. It's mostly been Chainsaw Man and, like, Dr. Stone and My Hero are always tricky because people, they're very big, and people talk about them a lot. Something like Black Clover, even though Black Clover is fairly big, I never really see people talking about it as the chapter comes out, so it's not that big of a deal. So this is definitely Denji and Makima. Like, this is definitely from the early parts of Chainsaw Man. Like, this is a scene that actually does happen in canon. So it has to be Denji thinking about that moment. Perhaps as he is in some sort of limbo, like, maybe he's like, I don't want to go into Chainsaw Man spoilers or anything. I don't know what this finger symbol could mean, though. Like, the thing that immediately comes to mind is the one finger challenge, where, like, when you are taking a selfie, usually a nude selfie, but sometimes it's with very skimpy clothing. It's, I mean, most people have probably seen it at this point, where you hold out your hands and you can do it a whole bunch of different ways. But the most common way I've seen is use your arm and your finger in order to cover your nipples. And then, like, have that be in the reflection, but then between the camera lens and the reflection, your finger is also visible. And so you can simultaneously use that finger in order to cover your crotch. And, I mean, you can do it a whole bunch of different ways. The one that reminded me of this was specifically about Zetwan I've seen very recently, which is outright just cheating. Like, it is just an image of her where she's using her hand in the foreground to cover her chest with one finger and her crotch with the other finger, which is really not the point of the challenge. And I can't imagine how Denji would be holding his hand here in order to, like, that would just be covering two nipples, and I guess he'd be covering the entire crotch with his hand, which is also kind of defeating the purpose. Like, that's way too much coverage. But I can't imagine what else this is for. Yeah, I was thinking, like, maybe it's the 2-year anniversary, but it can't be. Because Chainsaw Man, I mean, anything in Jump runs for, like, a year has 52 weeks. Jump usually takes 4 weeks off. So everything has a maximum of 48 chapters that can run. So maximum would be 96 for Chainsaw Man. Yeah, there's no way it could be all the way down to 85 for the 2-year anniversary, which is all I can think of. Like, it's either... So what is the... I mean, it could just be the peace sign, I guess. But due to what is happening currently in Chainsaw Man, I can't imagine Denji doing the peace sign. Like, it doesn't really make any sense. Also, I mean, this is almost certainly just a stock background that Fujimoto used. But it bothers me that you can see this, like, high, like, it says HI here, or it looks like it's. And then over here, it's also there. And, like, this thing that looks kind of like eyes is also over here, but it's upside down. Like, it's not just, a image that has been pasted on here and then flipped over for here. Like, there's something going on with it, but I don't know what. And that is compounded by the fact that, of course, in the Japanese version, I have to assume it's just, like, this, like, it's probably just cut off on these two sides. So all of this might not even be visible in the Japanese version. Anyways, it's a rad cover. I don't really have anything else to say about it specifically. Let us move on to Black Clover, chapter 265. So, it looks like the elves have saved the girls. Yeah, so where are they? I mean, they've got to still be in the Heart Kingdom, right? Unless, like, they were hurt and the elves managed to rescue them and bring them back to, like, the outskirts of Clover Kingdom, perhaps? Page 265, Elysia. Okay. Okay, so they are still in the Heart Kingdom. I wonder how they found this place, then. Yeah, because the elves, while they were part of the Eye of the Midnight Sun, lived in the Clover Kingdom, right? Like, they were in a, like, secluded area carrying out their plans. They weren't, like, going between the Heart Kingdom and the Clover Kingdom, right? They're the descendants of your Clover... What? They're the descendants of your Clover Kingdom's royal family and licked. Okay... Okay. So, hot damn. So these are the descendants of Lumiere and Tetia, then. Holy crap. Or wait, no. It's Licht and Tetia. If they're the descendants of... I mean, first of all, they're related, but secondarily, Lumiere and Tetia would mean that there's no elf connection. But yeah, I get it. I know. Hot damn. I wonder what this means for the future of the Clover Kingdom, because they could come in and say outright, like, hey, we are of closer blood to, to that... Actually, no, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. Right? I mean, I guess I don't know how royalty works in that aspect. Like, if King Arthur were to come back to England, would he be able to tell Queen Victoria, like, nah, get off, like, you're not allowed to be queen anymore, I'm back as king? Or would she have a right to say, no, I am the queen right now, like, I know we have a big legend about you coming back specifically, which does muddy the waters a lot, but, go home. Because, I mean, the king right now is not great. He's kind of garbage. And having elvish royalty, like, in line would be really cool. Like, that would definitely... I guess not. I was gonna say, like, oh, that would definitely help people become more acclimated to elves living amongst them. But honestly, I think that would just feel like a coup if some elves showed up and said, hey, we're actually, the royal family. This guy is of lower blood than us. We're gonna just take over. Like, that would be so fishy. And even if the Magic Knights were to step in and agree with that, then it would really feel like just a military coup. Never mind. I guess I don't know what we could do there. That'd be really cool. I mean, I'm glad they're around just in general, like, for being people. But I guess my dreams of them taking over for Garbage King cannot actually work out, so easily. Okay, Dryad, the guardian deity of Elysia, sent us a divine revelation telling us to do so. Okay. I actually like this a lot. Like, I really like that it wasn't the elves showed up and cast the spell and, they were the ones who protected them. But rather, like, everyone here did manage to survive the explosion using their own abilities. Like, it was enough to knock them out, but at the same time, they were able to barely cling on to life. So all the elves had to do was take them from that place. I mean, yeah, they're not strong enough, but what could they do now? I mean, apart from just, like, working with the elves and then going in with the support of the elves. We couldn't protect her, we couldn't defeat them, we trained for 6 months and got stronger, and yet they took Lolopeshka. I mean, yeah. But Noelle, what are you gonna do? Like, mermaid mode is definitely her peak right now, but you can't just jump up, like, there's no way, right? Stronger than we are, teach us how to get there. I mean, yeah, like, the main thing that elves have over humans is just their innate magic, which is something you really, like, it's cool, but you can't really teach that to someone. And especially someone like Noelle, for instance, like, she has the gift of royal blood and therefore having an extreme amount of mana. But even then, like, there's only so much you can do with it. Like, it all comes down to refining it at that point, right? Listen, giving up and getting stronger is even harder. Isn't that right, everyone? Also, I kept on saying the girls. I forgot that Luck was here, and that, oh boy, Leopold was also here. To be fair, I feel like Luck probably wouldn't care if I misgendered him by accident, whereas Leopold probably would. Using the elves' esoteric art. Ultimate magic. So, the big question here is not what is ultimate magic, although that is important, do want an explanation, but how can ultimate magic be introduced into the setting without then breaking, what the Eye of the Midnight Sun was doing before? Like, are we going to say that they were using ultimate magic? Actually, could that be why they started turning into devils? Or, not even that. Because I'm so used to saying turning into devils, because I did believe in the theory that elves were literally devils, like, it is just a thing that happens to them. But could that be it? Like, could it be that form in which they get corrupted and become more powerful? Because that would make sense as something we've already seen before. If ultimate magic is something else, then that would feel like a really big ass pull, because then we'd have to explain, like, why didn't the elves do it during the super important plan that they were staking their lives on? I was about to just start railing on, on this twist for that, but no, if it is that thing, like, if it is that state in which they become more demonic looking, then I would 100% be okay with that. Like, especially because it would then explain why it is that these characters can all get so much stronger, while also, like, without having it feel, cheap or unfair. Because then also, like, this is a pretty good cast. Like, it's a pretty good mix of people. Like, you have someone like Luck who has that innate, scary desire to kill in him, where I could see that coming out really cool. We've got Nero, who I think, because she's already cursed once, I think she'd be fine with being cursed again, but then she'd be worried about, like, oh no, is this one step too far? But I'll do it, in memory of Lumiere, but at the same time, like, can I be trusted with this, double curse at this point? And then we have the big dunderheads who are like, yeah, I'm not even gonna think about it. Let's just do it. Okay, so I really hope that is what it is. If it's not, I mean, we'll see. Oh, boy, how long was this chapter? Oh, boy, 11 pages. Like, I did see the next chapter thing, but I reflexively moved forward. Oh, man, yeah. In terms of, like, stuff that happened to this chapter, not the best, but it was a fine chapter. Like, I'm fine with what we saw here. This was good. It's just, I would have wanted more. I mean, I suppose that's the danger, isn't it? Like, this is definitely not what Yuki Tabata planned. I'm certain that something happened and he had to put out a shorter chapter. But at the same time, I do think this was perfect as a, like, number of things to have happened in the chapter. Either, like, if this were 19 pages, I do think it would either be, like, extended. Like, I think we would either have more filler in here, like them just kind of, like, looking around and seeing what the place is like, or, like, talking a bit more about the Dryad. Or alternatively, we would have just cut back to Asta's group. So, it's a blessing and a curse. I do think, especially in the volumes, this is going to be a good chapter. Like, just as a, hey, here's a little breather, it's super short, but, I mean, because it's so short, I imagine it's probably going to be a volume that has, like, one extra chapter, and this will be, like, barely a chapter. It just means that Yuki Tabata doesn't have to do he doesn't have to do an omake or something. So, short and sweet. I think, honestly, this might do better than the average Black Clover chapter. I don't know. We'll see. But I do really appreciate things that are really good and that don't linger for long enough to become bad. So, we'll see how it works this week. Next, we've got Me and Roboco, Chapter 10, Cooking and Roboco. So, of course, Cooking and Roboco have been a bad combination. Oh, I see. They're both doing the 10 to show, like, hey guys, we made it 10 chapters. To be fair, I can understand why you would want to celebrate that. Oh, and they're also doing a 10 back here. That's so cool. Oh, this is so cute. Oh, I was about to say, like, it's really weird that Madoka isn't doing a 10 at all. Like, that she's using both hands for something, like, just for the hearts. But okay, no. They're doing a 10 with the knife and the hearts. And then we've got Gachi's brother, I guess, just kind of leaping up. We got the cat just leaping up. I was trying to see if they're doing some sort of 10 here, but I can't imagine they are. I guess we have their genitals, in which this could be a 1 and this could be a 0? I don't know. I don't want to look that deep into it. Let's not. Let's go into Cooking and Roboco. It's so weird how, for any other series, I would feel like, oh, this is real weird. But for Roboco specifically, I mean, my immediate reaction was it's weird, but now I am just happy that they made it 10 chapters. Especially for a gag series in Jump. Like, I can imagine fearing that you're going to just be churned out and, tossed away. But so far, I mean, Roboco has been so much better than any other gag series in Jump in my recent memory. Man, Mako is amazing. Oh no, she crashed! So now she's gotta cook. I also do like that so far, like, the contrast between Roboco and Mako has not been a, like, everyone likes Mako more, Roboco is hot garbage, and then she has to prove herself. It has been a consistent, everyone likes Roboco. Like, Roboco is really fun, she's got a lot of personality, people like her. It's just that Mako is better at being a maid in a traditional sense. And therefore, it's so good as a duo of, I don't know, like, I wouldn't say that Mako's the Tsukomi at any point. It's more just, she is straightforward. And then Roboco does not act directly in response to her a lot of the time. Like, it's usually not the two of them competing. It is just, something that Mako does. Vondo looks at her and goes, oh, this is really cool. And then Roboco screws it up. I gotta say, like, I am definitely someone who cooks a lot more, but I do want to make a manly man dinner at some point. Like, I do like plain rice, which is bad for my waistline, probably shouldn't do it. But when I was in high school and college, I definitely, like, would make just plain rice and then either put a little soy sauce on it or like put a little seaweed on it, like just something to add a little more salt, and I would eat it just like that. So I'm not against the idea of plain rice, one boiled egg, like there's a crack in it, so I assume it's boiled, to make ketchup, and then a Fanta. Like you got the umami from the ketchup, you got the savoriness of the egg. If it's, you know, as long as it's not like hard boiled, I think you could also mix it with the rice and it'd be nice and a little goopy. Orange doesn't go with rice, or does it? Maybe if I throw it on the table harder. By the way, how would you animate this? Like, in order to get this framing across, I feel like you do have to have Roboco throw it into the air where it stops and where, like, the entire screen of your television looks exactly like this. Like, it has to be, canonically, it's going onto the table, but visually, she is just tossing it into the air. Oh boy, if this was a full chapter of Manly Man dinners, I'd be down with that. Oh no, she's gonna branch out. My eyes are full of surprise, and my elbows full of Benjamins. So, this is definitely a reference I do not understand. Is this a Hunter x Hunter character? Oh, is she actually cooking something good? No, she's dancing. She's literally dancing. Okay, so she just did not make anything. How inspired. Heat up. How? No, Roboco. I mean, I do appreciate that a big part of the series is that Roboco doesn't really need to change. Like, she is really weird, but she's great as she is. But at the same time, Roboco, you don't need to put your twist on everything. Please. Huh? Okay, so it is her canapes with chèvre cheese. But canapes so clever, jeez. Canapé is so clever, jeez. Also, wait, she's been tutoring me. Who's saying this? I mean, it can't be Bondo, because Bondo has no idea who this is. So it's either Canapé in the background saying she's been tutoring me, or it's Roboco saying Canapé's been tutoring me on math. Okay, I guess she's just leaving. Oh boy. Oh no, oh no! Now, the question is, again, like, in the same way that, this comes back to, in what direction is she's been tutoring me supposed to go? Because if Roboco has been tutoring Canapé, then this does count as a dish that she made in a weird sense. Like, she made Canapé clever. But that would also imply that Roboco put the svelte undies on Bondo's mom. Whereas, if it's the other way around, if Canapé was just clever for no real reason, or I mean, if she was clever on her own and Roboco just pulled her in for this goof, then that would mean that Roboco just knew that Bondo's mom had svelte undies and just grabbed her. TMI! Oh boy. No, I finally discovered the joy of cooking. Oh boy. Okay, so she did in fact make curried rice, and I wish the lining of this was done a bit better, because I do like the idea of it being she throws the the dish of rice onto this panel, but that's not really what this looks like. Like, I don't know how you would do the overlapping and such. I mean, I think it might just be like having this like throwing effect like branch out over the line here, so it goes down here, or like putting a filler panel here so that you can then line up the curry more with this area. Like, it's not necessary, but I feel like it would have been a bit better. Like, especially because that clearly is the gag. Like, it is both, they're looking at the table, but also they're looking down at this panel. I mean, this is the classic gag problem of, if you live in a gag manga, and something is extremely normal, is it just normal? Like, is the goof an anti-goof, or is there a secret danger there? Oh... They can't even pretend to be bad boys. Their backpedaling game is on a whole other level. Now, will Gotchi Girl be punished for this? Also, I didn't even notice that, in addition to, both of them having the evil, dark lighting over them, Meiko also has it. Her expression is completely, it's almost exactly the same as it is here, but with the dark vibe over it. It does make her look scarier. Oh no, we're doing a full Shokugeki no Soma. Oh no, I revealed the tab I was on, which is Understanding Isekai Basic Introduction. That's going to ruin all of your faith in my understanding of isekai. The balance of savory, spicy, and Stacy is absolutely perfect. Huh? Okay. I mean, there's also the possibility that they're both genuinely being nice. I haven't taken a bite yet. Is this the gifting? Oh no. Oh no, that's right. Yeah, she definitely can't eat it. Oh no. Oh no. Also, I think it says a lot about them that, again, like, Gotcha Gorilla definitely is the nicest of the... Oh my god, I just noticed the censor bars! Jesus Christ! Jump, are you allowed to make this joke? Holy crap! So first of all, Gotcha Gorilla got a big dick. But secondarily, he is also the most... I guess the most innocent. Like, he is the one who genuinely covers both of his eyes because he doesn't want to see Monika's clothing fly off. Whereas the two of them are just like, yeah, I'm gonna watch. You know, I really do want to call out and appreciate the fact that the gag here wasn't a simple, oh, Monica walked in while they were naked and she freaked out. Like, I think the extra level of chill she has really does, like, make her character more interesting. We've seen so very little of Monica, but she is such a weird human being, while still, like, it doesn't pop out very much. Like, she shows up, so little that we can still trick ourselves into believing that she is just a general cute girl character. But at the same time, every time she shows up, like, for instance, she is completely down with the friggin' A bugged out grub. We also don't know how it is that she managed to come, like, the two of them came in specifically because they just wanted to hang out and they brought snacks, and then they ate the grub. Whereas, like, Monica seems like she came over specifically to try the friggin' A bugged out grub. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Also, she doesn't care about the nudity. Also, she seems to have the soul of a 40-year-old man. Like, this along with her secret board game past. I want the Monica chapter eventually. Not right now, but like in 20 chapters. When me and Roboco goes into the extra serious arc, I want to see her extremely serious old man backstory. Anyways, good. Me and Roboco, that goes right above Black Clover. I was really hoping that this week's Black Clover would rise due to how simple and short it was, but man, this chapter was so full of good gags. Alright, that is me and Roboco. Next time I see you, it will be for the live stream. So, let us jump right into Our Blood Oath, Chapter 2. Oh, I was writing a tweet about how I like the idea of Mikoko X Psycho, the girl from Middle Manager Tonegawa, but then I messed up the writing and I was like, oh no, I don't know how to edit the tweets. I guess I just have to delete it. I'll express the sentiment some other time. So, Home Alone and Lost Children. Oh boy, that's really a reverse recommendation. What is that again? A warning? I guess that would be a warning. Let's see if I can last longer than 5 pages. Okay, so Ko is definitely remembering just, being a big Dorcas, but his brother being, very compassionate with him. So, I mean, Home Alone implies that this is going to be a chapter focused on him. So maybe it'll be one where, he's kind of like he and his brother have a sort of master-servant relationship. So maybe this is going to be a chapter of him realizing how much he cares for his brother, which would be really cool to do on chapter 2 of all things. So this is definitely vampire technology. Yeah, because he bites his finger, and then I guess this is a vampire candle? They're not all vampire candles, though. Like, all the other candles seem to be drawn, in a different way than this exact one. So I guess maybe it has some sort of, like, link to all of the other candles. I mean, it would be pretty fun if this is a chapter of, killing the blood bandits as they try to rob the house. By the way, this definitely does take place in Japan, right? So we gotta have an explanation at some point for how they managed to get this giant house. Because it can't... Like, we know that the house that their parents were in before was destroyed. Like, the entire place was on fire. I guess it's possible that the insurance paid out and they used the money to just rebuild the house. But especially because they're both kids, it really feels like they probably should have downsized. Actually, yeah, that does raise the question of how do they have these vampire candles and everything. Like, I have to imagine that maybe the house itself is vampiric, and so they're able to, like, have it regenerate. Who is this? Okay. Okay, so this mansion's all the way in the mountains. I mean, that would also... Yeah. I guess what I'm going with right now is probably... It is a secluded mansion. Because it's out in the middle of nowhere, no one knows it exists. So, you know, they don't have to pay for it or anything. And then, I guess it probably did just rebuild itself. It's really weird seeing this from the reverse perspective, honestly. Like, I do find this very refreshing. I've read so many manga that have had the, you know, let's explore this ruined old house arc. So it is actually kind of cool to see it from the exact reverse perspective of someone just lives in this big old house in the middle of nowhere, and then a random kid shows up. I'm gonna drink that too, give it to me, boy. I mean, this kid is extremely awful, but at the same time, I appreciate this kid for who he is. Like, this is a great garbage kid. Also, I did just get the entire conceit of this chapter, which is he was, you know, annoying his brother as a kid, and, you know, he is a little bratty, but at the same time, his brother loves him. And so now we have to replay that, but with this other kid, where now Ko is the one who is more... you know, the one who is more mature, and the one who has to not take care of this kid, but, you know, who has to deal with him. I mean, if we're doing a chapter like this early on, that also does make me feel a lot better about Ko as a character. Like, if the series is going to develop him out of his gremlinness this early on, it's not that I don't like characters who are just a nasty little gremlin, but there is the inherent problem of you make this nasty little gremlin that everyone hates, and then people read the series, and they hate the nasty little gremlin, and then they don't read the series anymore because the character's awful. Whereas I feel like this might be a good way to give him a little perspective, while at the same time, like, letting him still be bratty with his brother. Boy, that's also just a straight-up enormous mace. I do like the idea that his brother has to use actual physical weapons, whereas Ko does make just, you know, the big ol' blood blade. I mean, I have gotten very much into Nanners as of late, ever since she became a VTuber, and she is the definition of an annoying little gremlin. So I'm definitely more gremlin aware, definitely more gremlin accepty than I was before. I did just realize that I corrected my speech from accepting to accept-y, and I did mean that as an improvement in what I was trying to say, which is extremely concerning. I think that I am devolving as a human being, and that is actually quite scary. To be fair, he is a vampire, so I guess he doesn't understand, I mean, children in general, but also the idea that if you give a child a donut or multiple donuts, it's not going to calm him down. Is that Ko? I mean, I assume that's Ko, right? I mean, that looks exactly like Ko. Oh, I mean, maybe he wasn't looking at this image, but he was looking at, like, one next to that image. And then we'll learn that it was one of his parents. To be fair, especially because it is the both of them. Like, because it is just two of them, I imagine they probably don't use much of the mansion. Whereas, like in games where you can make a base and then use the base, generally, like, even if I make a really big base, everything I really want is in 2 rooms or so. And then everything that I just need to have is in all the other rooms, because I don't want to have to run around to find stuff. Like, I would much rather have everything consolidated. So I imagine they probably only use, like, a couple of rooms, and then the rest of it is just there. He's learning. I wonder if this is how my brother feels all the time. It's almost as if being a nasty little gremlin is bad. Oh? Now, the big question is, actually, do they just live in an area that's very vampiric, or do these beasts just live in their attic or something? Okay, so he can't do it. Maybe he'll go back and get one of those axes or something? Okay, no, so he is using a blood blade. It's just a tiny one. Actually, I wonder what the difference is. Like, is it specific? Is he unlocking the blade from somewhere else? Or... Huh. Oh man, there's so many blood stars too! And, like, they all look like the ones we saw in the first chapter. Like, the 3 from the Cerberus. So I wonder if this is actually just a much better way of getting blood stars. I mean, I guess we might learn later on that the stars have, like, grades of quality, for instance. And so if you kill something bigger, you only get 1 star, but it's a really good star. Whereas, like, these are all garbage. Maybe. Oh no, is Novo unmuted? Let me just... Oh no, okay, he muted himself. Just wanted to make sure. You know, also, I do like this design. Like, it has a very RPG-esque vibe to it. Like, it definitely feels like, you know, the mother / a bunch of them fused together without feeling too different from them. It feels like the next evolution. I would definitely, maybe not definitely, but as a kid, I probably would have bought a shirt with this thing on it. It's got a strong Hot Topic vibe that I really do like. Okay, so what is the game plan here? I mean, fair, but at the same time, I kind of hoped that it was going to be Coach doing it himself. I guess this is a good resolution of, like, your brothers had to save you all this time, and even now, he's still got to save you, but it's fine, because that's what brothers do. I would agree, Novo. Like, there is an inherent, it's tricky to do it right, because if you have big old blurbs in the first 2 chapters saying, like, hey, this is what the world is like, then it does get very tiring. Like, that amount of exposition/info dumping is a problem. But if you don't do that, and you allow your series to slowly, naturally reveal things, then that also makes it very weird when you first read it. Oh, it's the pretty person. Okay, so he was talking about, yeah. I'm actually very surprised that he would consider Ko's brother to be pretty. I mean, it's cool, but still. I 100% thought that it was going to be they were talking about mom, or he was talking about mom, then they show a picture of their mom, and they both, feel a little sad about it. Oh, what's in the bag? Oh, it's so cute! Man, those are some long ears. Oh, damn, those are long ears. Now, this has to be a fictional, like, demonic sort of cat, right? I mean, it's got, like, the stars here. It's got the big pointy ears and the fork tail. Oh, yeah, I'm already very much into this. I mean, it does beg questions about this world now. Like, how common is demonic stuff? Like, since those demonic beasts seem to just be, like, pests, like, they brought them up as if they were normal, and now this cat is definitely vampiric in some way. Yeah, I'm definitely giving it until chapter 3. Like, this was a good chapter. It was... I think specifically, the thing that I liked most about this chapter is the fact that it focused mostly on the brotherhood aspect of it, despite not really featuring both brothers for most of the chapter. Like, I think that is a really bold move, as opposed to just doing another chapter that was like, hey, let's fight another vampire or something. Like, let's just do another Monster of the Week chapter. The fact that it was so focused on Ko specifically makes me feel like the series is going to try and focus more on the brothers as brothers. That plus, like, the tiny bits of world building we've gotten. Like, cat's cute, their mansion looks cool, the candles are interesting. There's enough there that I'll give it one more chapter. Like, I'm definitely getting into the vibe of it. But yeah, like, I definitely would not throw shade on anyone who dropped it here, because, like, yeah, I would say it's... So far, I'm liking it more than most of the other yokai series that I've run in Jump, like the ones I just immediately dropped after 2 or 3 chapters. So, hopefully it'll continue to be decent. I mean, the little boy was sent home. I mean, unless you mean Ko, in which case he's not going home. Or if he does go home, we will be following him home. But alright, solid chapter. Current rankings are me and Roboco, followed by Black Clover. I would say this goes... I'd say it goes under me and Roboco, above Black Clover. And to be fair, a big part of why that is because the Black Clover chapter was very good, but it was also like 10 pages this week. Oh, it's such a floopy Lynx ear. But yeah, I do agree, by the way. It's definitely a more anime-esque Lynx design. Or, Tiny Lynx design. Anyways, that is our Blood Oath. Let us move on to Undead Unluck, Chapter 32. Unbelievable. Oh my god, I can't believe it. You called it. Alright, how will Eisen number 2 manage to... I mean, it seems like they're primed for the skedaddle, which I'm completely fine with, by the way. Like, if they just dive underground and the Union can't follow them, it's fine. What would that emote even look like? I mean, I'm not against it, but what would that emote look like? Okay, so we are, like... We're doubling down on the Billy-Tatiana connection, presumably so that we can really, really hear the shattering of her hearts. Oh yeah, we could do the, the classic Kubo face. Sure. And who are the 2 people on the brow of this monster? Okay, so it is Unrepair and his wife. Oh, such a good gag. Yeah, I do think it might have worked a bit better if we had a Billy mission, but at the same time, I think that actually might have telegraphed it too much. Like, I think the fact that we didn't have a Billy mission in the moment did also make it more surprising to me. Like, it traded some level of development and deeper pain for something that hit a lot harder and that still had some level of pain to it, because we did get the Billy Tatiana flashback. Under does have sort of a Chainsaw Man Devil Hunter sort of vibe to the way they are. I guess the Union also does, now that I think about it. I don't know why I immediately locked onto them when the main thing is just they're all wearing ties and white undershirts. Have you lost weight? That could just be a gag, but I feel like there might also be something else there that I can't think about. Okay, but he repaired himself. This also feels very Eisen-esque. Feels very like, his ability is just a weak water ability. How could it possibly do this? How could it possibly do that? And I do think, I don't think Billy's lying about his ability being unbelievable. I think it is, he just lied about specifically what it does. If he shoots in a direction that's bound to miss his target and ricochets the bullet to ensure it hits, it's a sure hit ability. Yeah, it is completely possible then for Unbelievable to stretch to kind of anything that where this 100% should not work, and therefore because it should not work, it does. I hope you guys have been keeping screen caps of all your big guesses, because in the moment I do engage with them, but I definitely have not been keeping a tally. So if you want that big glory in the chat, make sure you save it for yourselves. Oh boy. I would be so down if either later on or right now we do see Billy just fight the entire Union and win somehow. Assuming he can just reverse this. He shoots in a direction it's bound to miss and therefore it hits. I would assume then that he could also do the opposite of people try to attack him and therefore the attacks don't hit. And if people try to game it by not hitting him, then he just doesn't use his ability and they don't hit. Yeah, it's something I do really like, super conceptual abilities and super abilities that I guess conceptual is just the best way to put it. And it's very hard to do those. I've heard that Nisosin's the manga series he did, I don't remember what it's called, but I do know that also has a lot of conceptual abilities to the point where they really stack on each other and become ridiculous. Medaka Box, that's what I'm thinking of. So I'm not super into that. If it gets too absurd, but right now Undead Unluck's riding a good line of all the abilities are super wild, but also they're grounded enough that I can understand how you could have a fight with them without it being insane. Oh yeah, he would have never seen an Uma or anything, so we would have no point of reference for this thing. I'm sure they told him about Uma, but there's a big difference between hearing about something like this and then actually seeing it. Especially since an Uma can be kind of anything, it seems. Yeah, fair. Especially because, he's not running away from the fights in my eyes. This is genuinely a tactical retreat. He's walking away, they're gonna fight without him, and then at some point he's gonna peek back in when he's calmed himself down, and then he can actually use his powers. Oh, this is Uma Burn. I'm sure someone probably guessed it before. But that also makes sense considering that, the last set of missions included Uma Burn. I don't know why I didn't just assume it was Uma Burn. Okay. Wait, what? Okay, so I guess Billy, used Unbelievable to prevent Top from kicking him. But then he kind of just, flash-stepped over to where Top was and kicked him down. Also, Novo, theoretically, any of the Uma could work with negators, and it should be fine. In the same way that you could assume that capturing the Uma through the quests is why, for instance, Uma Clothes is willing to work with the Union. But I have taken it up to this point as just if you were to talk to it and it was willing to accept that, you're not going to kill it, then it'll, work for you. Or, they're all individuals and you can negotiate with them. Okay, so, sorry, there's a whole lot of pauses here. Let me collect my thoughts. So, Top's, what do they call this in Darker Than Black? The remuneration, I suppose, for Top's ability is that he keeps on moving, but he can't stop it unless the shape of his body undergoes a dramatic change. But it is, in fact, Billy who made his body undergo a dramatic change. And then he just healed it. What? Yeah. It does seem like he took Top's ability for himself, and then broke his leg, and then I'm assuming then he used Andy's ability to heal itself. Or, to heal it. That's really clever. And like that is also such a cool power, or like such a cool way to, how do I put this? Like, to say it specifically, like, it isn't he has to break his finger or he has to break X or Y. It is just the shape of his body has to fundamentally change. Because that also does imply that if you were to combine that with another negator or some other, like, artifact or something that, that changes the shape of your body without hurting you, it should also, like, combo really well with him. You can peer into people's hearts. Okay, so, no. There's no way he's talking about Andy when he says you can peer into people's hearts. Right? Yeah. So it is, he's talking here, then he says, in my current state, not so much of a drawback. He heals himself using the power of undead. And then this is separate. But who is he copying now? One bound to protect, one bound to live and lead, one bound to fight powerful foes to become stronger. Oh, and he's doing a parts bullet too, right? No. That's Andy doing the parts bullet over here. Those are visions of justice being negated, yes. What? I mean, there's no, I don't want to accept that this is how unbelievable can be used, because that's way too broad. If the power of unbelievable includes just, if you can't believe that I can do this, then it's fine. Like, I can just use everyone else's negator abilities because it's hard to believe I can. And I mean, we do have the precedent of Victor, or how do you pronounce it? Is it Victor? Like him being able to negate negator abilities, or specifically being able to negate Uma abilities. So there's definitely something there. Like, there's definitely some sort of like overarching ability to negate other negators that could then be flipped into like an overarching ability that allows you to copy negation abilities, perhaps? Unoriginal. I could see that. But yeah, like, he's definitely implying that he's going to steal all of their negator abilities, which could also mean that then, like, unbelievable is an ability he stole and he's been using it this whole time, but that's not what he's really using right now. Shen's thoughts here are so normal. Like, they're so blasé. So, I mean, of course, Tatiana's not going to come, but, I mean, she might. I believe she won't. But there is the danger that she will stay in this, like, this state of denial and come along and immediately regret it. But no, I refuse. Also, this shot of Byrne holding up the round table with the chairs floating in between its fingers looks so cool. It's like the chairs are brass knuckles. Also, I do assume then that he's not stealing Tatiana's ability because A, Tatiana can't control it, so I imagine he wouldn't be able to then copy it and then use it properly. Like, it would have the same drawbacks, and if he doesn't know how to counter those, then it, can't be helped. But secondarily, that he does genuinely want her to come along. And, of course, copying her ability / stealing it would be very counterintuitive to having her trust him. Granted, all of this is counterintuitive to having her trust him, but, that part can't be helped. His eyes don't have the typical blind look to them that most series would give him, so maybe not. But at the same time, like, nothing here implies that he can see. I mean, like, this could all be explained by him, up to this point, just seeing via sounds, the way he usually does. And then this is obviously him using Unjustice in order to see, which is why we focus on his eyes here. I'm going to say that he's still blind. Like, he's operating on such a high level that being blind doesn't really matter that much, but I imagine it is, it's still there. It's still a problem. Like, it's still a hurdle he has to go through. Ha, damn, Fuko! I mean, he did look over to the wound as it's being healed. I would assume, like, also, nothing he's taken would heal his eyes. Like, we do know that undead doesn't, like, completely heal your entire body. Like, if Andy is reduced to a drop of blood and then he reforms himself, he still has his tattoos and his scars and everything. So presumably, Billy, losing his eyesight and then gaining undead temporarily would still revive him, resurrect him to the point in which he didn't, he was incapable of sight. I also really like this sentiment that Fuko is giving us. The fact that, like, she can't relate to what Tatiana is feeling right now. Or she can't directly relate to it in the sense that she's never felt it, but she can relate in the sense of she can imagine how awful it is. Like, I think also, if she has to talk to Tatiana about this later, Tatiana can't say, you don't know what I've been through, because Fuko has the easy response of, yeah, I have no idea how you're feeling, but I can think about it. Like, I can imagine how awful this is. Yeah, like, he's not even doing when Andy first popped in, he immediately tried to parts bullets all of the Union. But he's not even telling Byrne to, do a big swipe and kill everyone. To be fair, it's very possible that whatever Under wants, it is something that doesn't, it's something where they don't really believe that the Union can help with it. Or, they don't believe that the Union could hinder their progress. And in fact, it may be better to have the Union alive, because then they know where those negator abilities are, as opposed to killing them and then letting them just, fly across the world. Oh yeah, you're right. I guess he already did the big... I guess what I mean is less, he didn't do anything, against them, and more, he's not continuously attacking them. Like, this is not a situation where he thinks he should kill the Union. I could definitely see a rule of the table being, like, if every member of the Union is dead, then, something bad happens immediately. And therefore, like, the members of Under would have to become members of the Union on paper, in which case they need the Union still alive while they do the transfer, however that's done. I mean, we know how the transfer's done. It's by killing the other members of the Union. But I guess what I'm thinking is, Billy is currently a member of, of the Round Table, I should say, not the Union. And therefore, like, maybe they have to do something else before they can officially start moving in members of Under to the Round Table. Okay, they're gonna go for it. If we don't settle this here, it's all over. We can use any means, right? I mean... Byrne is so big that I think, Fuko could definitely just strip and hug part of Byrne's, I guess the problem with that is Byrne is presumably all on fire, right? Like, the parts that aren't on fire, I imagine, are sizzlingly hot. So it's not like she can directly touch him. I mean, it could be the standard plan of she touches Andy for an extremely long period of time and then does a big suicide bomb blast. Or, they drop a meteor or something on it. Novo, I do think they would want to replace at least some of the Union, though, because, this current set of quests is open to everyone. But what if the next set can only be done by the Union? In which case, they would want to have members of Under that are a part of the Union, so they can either choose to complete the quests or not, depending on what exactly they want to do. Yeah. I imagine this current arc is going to be Under and the Union all, both trying to complete these quests. And then, in between those quests and whenever we get more quests. I definitely think they will complete all 4 of them. But after that point, I think it'll be a big struggle of Under and Union fighting in order to whittle down their collective members to 10 people. And by that I mean, Under presumably trying to kill all members of the Union, or of the, former Round Table, so then they can fill all the slots, and then have complete control over it. I mean, Pep, arguably... To be fair, I don't think Andy would be okay with it, but if everyone else were to die, and if they had a power that could definitely kill Andy, I think he would be up for it. Well, I suppose the tragedy there would be then Andy accepting that even though this is a perfect time to die, he can't let the Under win, and so he has to tragically murder all of them, and then still be alive afterwards. I mean, Rondom, could he, though? I thought we established last arc that Unrepair, though Unrepair can cut Andy, he doesn't actually kill Andy. I mean, to be fair, we didn't fully resolve that, but I thought that was where we kind of left it off at. Hot diggity dog, what a chapter. That's the problem in my eyes. Let's say that you take out Andy's brain and you mince it into a fine slime, but the power of Undead, and the power of Undead can't pull the brain together, but it is still alive. I mean, true, Under wouldn't functionally care about that. If chopping him into pieces or, atomizing him and scattering him across the planets were, if that got him out of the way, they wouldn't care. It would only be Andy who would lose out on that. It also does strike me that whatever is going on with Billy, it feels like he is the opposite of Victor. Victor's power seems to be he seems to be outside of the rules and also negation and also the Uma. He seems to just be sort of untouched by by everything we've seen thus far. He is completely outside of it. Whereas it seems like whatever Billy's ability is, it is something that allows him to make use of everyone else's powers. At the very least, other negator abilities. We didn't see him use Byrne's power by any means. Yeah, like according to this, like then you would functionally be incapable of killing Billy if you send uh sorry, if you send Andy against Billy, then Billy 100% can't die, which means you just cannot do that matchup. Whereas like Fuko would actually be a pretty good combo because like if he copies Fuko's ability, all he does is generate unluck, which because he hasn't trained in it very much means that he might slip up and use it incorrectly. He might accidentally touch. I think it would be less of a like he accidentally makes an ally unlucky and more of a like he does try to charge the unluck into someone in order to strategically use it, but because he's not super familiar with calculating where the unluck is going to come from, he miscalculates. You know, this also does. I mean, morally, they can't do this. But the easiest way to kill Billy would be to drop a nuke on him. Like, to take Billy's own strategy of, this thing is super dangerous. Why should we fight it one-on-one? Why don't we just bomb it? Like that does make the most sense when it comes to him, which is why I assume the Union is 100% not going to do that to him. Yeah, he does have allies. The biggest danger, honestly, might be someone that we have not seen yet. Like, right now, Billy knows everyone who is a member of the Union, including their new addition, whose name I can never remember. But, like, if they were to gain a different member, like if he were to leave the the group of 11 members of the Union, and if they were to then recruit someone else, then they would be a good counter to him because he clearly he needs to understand what their ability is before he can use it. I have to assume. The fact that he says, I'll gladly take these for myself, means that I assume he's got to keep the powers. Like, it would make it would feel more balanced if he can only use them for a short period of time as he's fighting. And it's very possible he has to, swivel through them. Like, he can only use one at a time. And so, like, when he was using Tops, for instance, he was using it up until he broke his leg, and then he immediately switched over to Undead and then healed himself. I also feel like this is not something that is supported at all in the manga itself. This is entirely me, thinking like a mangaka. I think it would be a really good karmic, end to him. Or like anyone else who can steal negator abilities. If they were to steal Fuko's power, but in doing so, somehow it switches from a target others ability to a self-targeting ability. And so they just start generating personal unluck, and then they get hit, killed by a meteorite or something. Though to be fair, I guess we wouldn't know how such a power would work. Like, if unluck were self-targeting, would it still be affection-based? Like, could you then be completely fine if you don't like yourself at all? What are you implying? Like, just have Chikara freeze him in place? I do really like Pep's idea of the soft lock, of just forcing them to stare at each other for eternity. I think it also depends on what we mean by look when we say, you have to look at someone with unmove in order to use it. Because again, Billy is blind, but Unjustice seems to activate by, looking, and yet he was able to use it. It also does seem like it isn't a personal idea of what luck is. It does seem to be the sort of cosmic idea of an unlucky thing happening, which in Fuko's case does tend to just be lethal incidents. Yeah, I don't think we've seen a scene of him explicitly using multiple negator abilities at the exact same time. Like, functionally, it seems like he's using them at the same time, but I think you could read, these few pages as him cycling through the abilities really quickly. Anyways, I'm kind of running out of steam on this one, so let us rank it and then move on. I mean, it's gotta go right to the top, right? There's no way I can say this is worse than me and Roboco Chapter 10. It's a classic refrain, but y'all know it. You all love it, I assume. If not, you must be quite frustrated. If you hate Undead Unluck, then, I mean, I guess you're probably not watching this because I timestamp these and you can just skip past it. So let us move on from the return of Aizen in Weekly Shonen Jump to the return of suffering in Weekly Shonen Jump. That's right, except it's not a return because it never left. We're talking about Chainsaw Man, Chapter 85. Oh, that is gorgeous. Jeez. And I do like that the one, set of intestines that is supposed to be, his rider scarf is, red to stand out against the blue intestines. This is the most Chainsaw Man chapter ever. I mean, I think I can ready myself for this emotional barrage. I said this at the start of this reaction, but I have, like, I definitely saw, like, posts where people were freaking out about Chainsaw Man, but I did not, like, I know nothing about the chapter itself. I just noticed, like, out of the corner of my eye that there was action involving people freaking out over Chainsaw Man, and it has the cover of Jump, so I imagine this is probably going to be a big chapter. Who will suffer this chapter? I mean, I think the big brain answer to that is Makima, in that, like, she is a fangirl for Chainsaw Man. She is a Chainsaw Man simp. And therefore, the wildest thing I can think of would be Chainsaw Man showing up and then, absolutely not doing what she wants, and then, like, flipping her off, and then going back to hell. I would lose my mind if this chapter was Kishibe killing Makima because Chainsaw Man does not want to help her. Oh my god, I love it. Chapter 85, Bloody Good Gut Feeling. This has very big candy gore vibes, if you've ever been into candy gore. Like, I can't say I'm super into the aesthetic, but, like, I've definitely seen it on For Affinity and whatnot. Candy gore essentially is the idea of, like, gore pictures where, like, a character's been cut in half, or, like, they've lost an arm or something. But instead of, like, actual blood and gore, it is, like, super multicolored candy. And I really like the aesthetic. I mean, a lot of Chainsaw Man's aesthetic, I think, is not specifically candy gore. It is more just, like, recolored gore. But I really like it. I like the contrast of something that visually looks very gross, and it has a lot of, like, gross details, but contrasted with, super vibrant, super neon, super happy colors. Everything is cake is, I think, the epitome of the candy gore aesthetic. Kind of, actually, not really. Because Everything is Cake is more mellow, I'd say. Like, it has the same feeling of, oh, this is not what I thought was going to come out. But I think the vibe of candy gore is more of a, like, hey, it doesn't really matter that I've been sliced in half because it's all, multicolored candy inside. But it is also actual intestines and stuff. It's just, colored in a very vibrant, fun way. Wait a minute. Is it the 2-year anniversary of Chainsaw Man? Because I did guess this. I'm not going to go through this entire thing because I said it right at the start of the video. Oh, it's Denji's birthday. Oh my god. I can't believe it's been, like, yeah, the last couple of chapters have all been Denji's birthday. I guess depending on how long this arc goes, we could have an entire volume that is the birthday volume. But okay, because at the start of this, I did try to figure out how the cover of Jump, and, like, I misread it a little bit as Denji doing the one finger challenge where, like, you cover up your breasts and your crotch at the same time using one finger, but he's using 2 fingers. And then I thought, okay, maybe this is actually supposed to be the 2-year anniversary, but there's no way it's a 2-year anniversary because it's only 85 chapters. Like, that would have to be somewhere in the 90s. So big brains. That is actually very cool. And again, like, I really like the hard contrast here of, they look like streamers, but they're also intestines. This is a big celebration, but at the same time, like, Chainsaw Man is clearly suffering, and he's in such deep, dark, violent colors. Or I guess not violent. I guess more depressive colors than anything else. Like, he looks like he's made out of stone. Now, what could bloody good gut feeling mean? I mean, bloody good, of course, could be a pun. I'm not... Like, we haven't really seen anything from Britain in the series thus far, so I could definitely see Fujimoto introducing some sort of British character. But it could also be, like, the localization team trying to get across the interplay of, violence but also fun at the same time. And how does this tie into what is happening right now? Like, I want to believe that Kishibe is not going to just immediately be killed by Chainsaw Man. So, maybe it's going to be, like, Chainsaw Man comes back from hell, but instead of fighting Kishibe, he starts, like, internally fighting, maybe? Or, I mean, there's still a possibility that this is Chainsaw Man, not Denji, and therefore all Makima really did was, make Denji submit and make Chainsaw Man come out, but then she doesn't have power over Chainsaw Man specifically. Yeah, I think my theory crafting is getting pretty weak now, so I'm gonna move on. You might want to back off. I asked Chainsaw Man to save me. I'm about to be killed. Although I will attempt to resist in celebration. Wait a minute. Sorry, I misread this panel. I asked Chainsaw Man to save me. I'm about to be killed. Because she's pointing her blade towards Chainsaw Man. Like, initially I read this as Kishibe is about to kill her, therefore Chainsaw Man is going to show up and save her. And so she's saying, hey, back off because I'm about to be saved. But you could also read it as Chainsaw Man is about to kill her, and then she will try to resist, but she knows she won't, be able to resist, and he's going to kill her. Oh, right. Makima said the Chainsaw Man kills the devils who ask for his help. Oh boy. So what is the end game here? Also, he kills the devils who ask for his help, so presumably, this isn't a big brain plan of having Chainsaw Man eat her and then, allowing the worlds to be released from the concept of control. It has to be that she does just expect to die. This is going to dig into the problem of what is being killed to Makima. Is this going to be she dies and then is reincarnated in hell? Or is this first of all, we don't know whether her current incarnation is from hell or earth. But on top of that, does she mean that it's just Chainsaw Man is going to attempt to kill her, but she, as she is right now, will survive? Or does she mean she's going to be reincarnated? Because if she gets reincarnated, we don't know for sure if that's going to be Makima afterwards, or if that's just going to be another control devil. Now, come. Oof. It sure looks like a kill. It's definitely a kill. Or at the very least, it's definitely a decapitation, which I would usually consider to be a kill. So, where's he going next? Oh boy. So, I guess he's going to just destroy this family burger chain. Okay, so I think... this is some high-level Fujimoto already. I'm going to assume they're all going to die. Oh my god, it's Kobani! Oh my god! Oh boy. Yeah, to be fair, it isn't super hospitable if every time anyone asks her anything of her, she immediately freaks out. I get it. She's definitely just traumatized at this point, so fine, but at the same time, yeah, I get how that might be a thing you'd want to break. Is Kobani best girl by default? If we look at the character poll at this point, I do think she is the best surviving girl, right? Or am I thinking of her car? Her car didn't survive, so I guess it can't count as best surviving girl. She is the only surviving girl. I think, honestly, McDonald's is a lot better than I expected from her. It seems relatively safe. It seems like an okay time. It doesn't really fit her skill sets, sure. But at the same time, it's a lot better than the alternatives. Jeez. That was a family slap, okay? I want you to remember that pain every time you're about to say, ah. Oof. Also, I feel like the inherent term family slap is extremely bothersome. Considering what her family did to her, that's gotta sting. But also, in general, there's a level of abuse here that I don't really usually see mixed in with workplace abuse. Neither of them are good, but there's something extra bothersome about this. I'm not saying that workplace abuse is better than family abuse. I'm just saying, it's a mix I don't see very often because it is a combination of family abuse and workplace abuse. Oh no! I guess she's not going to be the last surviving girl, for very long. Is McDonald's still better? Yeah, honestly, even with this. To be fair, I guess it depends on whether this happens every day to her or not. I'm assuming this is the first time. But then again, I imagine she's also a very new hire. But yeah, I feel like prostitution is much more dangerous than McDonald's in this sense. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. I don't think that's a very weird, wild thing to say. And it's not like I'm inherently against the concept of all forms of sex work. It's just, I do think that, on the whole, McDonald's is probably better in terms of general stability. I think this is a subpar working at McDonald's situation. Boy, oh boy. Also, obviously, she is not enjoying this right now. But I do think, in the future, once she goes through a lot of therapy, she will look back on this and go, hey, it's actually very funny that, I got slapped for saying ah, and then when Chainsaw Man showed up and killed everyone else said ah as well. It's one of those things that really binds you and your coworkers together. I've got to stop. I feel like the main problem with these streams is that I have to speak during them, and when I speak during them, everything I say is bad. But if I don't speak during them, then there's no content. It is the constant problem of trying to create content. That, and also, now that I've automated my editing process so that it just automatically takes out silences, it means that I can't just mug at the camera silently. I do have to actually say what I'm thinking out loud, which is a bad problem, I've gotta say. I do think this might be the worst era of the channel, if it's an era in which I have to say things. I imagine most people get enjoyment from my reactions by just kind of like muting me and looking at my face. Okay, so, anyways, it does seem... this guy didn't say help, though, but maybe this Ulp counted as a help, perhaps. I mean, he's definitely not killing Kobani first. Just once in my life, I want to try a hamburger that isn't rotten, you know? Ooh. Okay. So, this does seem like this is now Pochita in control, as opposed to, like, a third concept that is just the Chainsaw Devil or the Chainsaw Man Devil or anything. Or, you know, the Chainsaw Man. Like, at the very least, Chainsaw Man has memories of Pochita. Like, this is specifically a flashback from Pochita's perspective as opposed to Denji's. That also brings into the question, like, where does the impulse to kill devils who say, save me, come from? I mean, first of all, it is devils. But then he showed up here when Kobani said, save me. And, like, she's got very normal-looking eyes. Whereas, like, all the devils we've seen thus far, like, the devils and the fiends have had the weird wonky eyes. So, I highly doubt she's a devil. So why would he have showed up here? Like, this does seem to be he showed up in order to kill, but then he saw the hamburger meal and he decided, I guess I'm gonna have a hamburger. You know, I also really do appreciate that Kobani's look is much less over the top than her manager's. Like, she's clearly very bothered, but at the same time, she's not even that sweaty compared to the way she usually looks. Okay, so he's definitely trying to say hamburger, right? But, you know, with big, grindy... I want to say chainsaw teeth, but these are not chainsaw teeth. Like, if he were anything else, like, if he were the Gun Devil, I would still say, like, gun teeth. But the problem is that chainsaws actually do have teeth, so I can't say that. Omega! Also, I feel like in an edgier series, he would just eat this mascot head. But it does seem like Chainsaw Man does understand what a hamburger is, and he does just want a hamburger. Make it a meal, family! Oh yeah, this is peak Chainsaw Man. I see no one filled in for him here. They just all said their thing. That's so much more awkward. I mean, I do like it thematically, but in terms of delivering a jingle, I do feel like if you're doing a multi-part jingle and someone dies, someone else should take their part, right? Like, I get how in terms of framing, of course, you land on the guy who would say beef, but someone should also say there's beef in the burgers. Why would you make Kobani do this? This is not gonna... Jesus Christ! I mean, is he just going to murder them? I don't think so. I feel like he is going to prioritize the burger over murdering them. I mean, he might also just eat this burger. Oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't consider how much they would hate her. Or, you know, how much they already do hate her. God damn, it's life and death! Also, do they do the jingle every time anyone orders anything? Because, boy, that's annoying. I mean, it's also just such a long jingle. Like, if I went to McDonald's and every time I ordered something, the person at the cashier said, McDonald's, I'm loving it, I would also be quite annoyed, but you know what? That's short enough, that'd be fine. But if you list everything every time, it's so bad. They didn't even gesture towards Beef Man this time. Don't trip this time. Don't you dare trip. That's just the McDonald's logo! I can't believe this. I mean, did we see what the Family Burger sign looked like? Yeah, we did. There's no M here. Or I guess there's an M in family. But it doesn't look at all like the McDonald's one. Fujimoto just dropped all pretenses of this not being McDonald's. Dear God. Boy, I mean... I don't think I've ever had more... In general, I do think I relate to Kobani. I mean, she is a big mood. But boy, this image in particular hits me so hard. And now she also has to deal with the stress of not saying ah. Which also means, if she says ah and then freaks out and then drops all the food, Like, I mean, to be fair, I don't feel bad for anyone here besides Kobani. Everyone else deserves death. I mean, that's actually a bit too far. Never mind. I don't think anyone here deserves death. But I don't feel too bad for her manager at the very least. And everyone else did seem to also be fine with bullying her, so you know what? It's fine. I can't believe it! Also, it's pretty amazing that Fujimoto can draw two separate scenes in the same chapter of Kobani tripping and throwing a Happy Meal all over Denji. And both times, it's so... like, it looks so good. And it's different both times. It's not just repeating the same shot. Like, it's so dynamic, and it's so scary both times. Is it the exact same panel? Oh man, I'm just bad. Never mind. Never mind. I retract my previous statement. In that case, I commend him for the balls for... I commend him for having the balls to do this. But... I can't believe I didn't realize that! You know, I think this face in particular, the blonde guy here, this face is probably the most Fujimoto face. Like, when I think of a Fujimoto face, I do think of, like, the eyes being scrunched up, big shot of the nose, the mouth open in disgust. Like, it's definitely a disgust face. Oh boy, let me open up this low effort meme. Yeah, that was real low efforts. Boy. Yeah, definitely the most Chainsaw Man chapter. Also, I mean, it is 100% possible that Makima is not dead, but if she is, then it is doubly insane for Fujimoto to kill her off at the start of this chapter and spend the rest of the chapter on burger-throwing shenanigans. It's a metaphor for going sicko mode? Wait, is it? Oh, no. Okay, right. The day the chapter came out would have been Friday. I can't believe that's such like, if he didn't plan that out, that is so insane. Oh my god. I mean, to be fair, there is a, being a mangaka is a delicate balance of, like, planning everything out and then also doing things in the spur of the moment. Like, you can plan out a very big arc, but if you see that clearly no one likes it, or it's not coming off the way it was intended, you have to be able to course correct. And like, some of the coolest things I think of when I think of mangaka doing crazy stuff is when I hear that, oh, this thing or that thing or this whole character, like, none of that was planned. They just kind of went for it because they had a gut vibe, or they thought this would be really cool. And I would not be surprised if Fujimoto did, like, if he had a completely different idea for this chapter, but everything past this point when Denji jumps in and kills Makima was planned out immediately afterwards. Because, like, none of this was really set up besides Kobani needing a job. I mean, I'm not against going to my local McDonald's right now and asking for the Chainsaw Man burger, but I can't imagine that's going to be funny or good. Perhaps when the anime comes out, we can have the glory of a meme man on YouTube pulling his shirt over his head and then flailing around on a table and screaming, "I need the chainsaw sauce!" Chainsaw Man! You know, it does genuinely shock me that The Devil is a Part-Timer's anime adaptation did not manage to secure a deal with McDonald's. Because, yeah, I know that the light novel did have it be, what was it again, like a Mig Rogers? And naturally, if you want to be one-to-one, you would maintain the, it's not really McDonald's thing. But at the same time, that would have been such a good marketing opportunity if they did just outright say, you know what, for the anime, it is McDonald's. But yeah, wild chapter for a completely different reason than I thought it was going to be wild. And boy, I can't get over these 2 pages. I mean, it's also pretty rare in and of itself to have, like, a 1-page color and then a 2-page spread that are both kind of the same thing. Like, they are both depicting the same shots, but it is not a canonical shot. It is, this metaphorical Chainsaw Man draped in gore. Oh man, I kind of want to have a Chainsona now. Like, I'm sure I could get my OCs designed in the style of Chainsaw Man. Novo, I would not describe this as 84 chapters before Fujimoto did his thing. There are so many Fujimoto things that we have seen thus far. I mean, even Vomit Kiss is a really early example of definitely a Fujimoto thing. But yeah, Chainsaw Man feels like it's been around for so much longer as well. Like, without rushing it, we have had lore drops, which I think are fine, but I do appreciate that the way the series is paced makes it feel like no time has passed at all, and yet also there's so much that also is not in light novels or in like, volume only things. There have been some volume extras, but most of what we know about the world of Chainsaw Man is contained within the pages of the weekly serialization. And we know so much, and we also, have been we have hints of so much more that we don't know about. It's such a rich series. I guess I will say that I don't think Kobani's going to die here. Like, I think after Chainsaw Man has the burger finally properly, which first of all, I think the reason he's not just, eating the burgers as they fly, as they fly through the air is specifically because, like, whoever's in control right now does, like, they've interpreted Denji's desire as, I want to have a proper meal. So, like, eating it off the ground or just, like, eating it off of the table or anything, like, that does not count. It has to be the burger is set down normally, like it's a normal meal that a normal human being would have, and then he eats it normally. I mean, no, to be fair, we only believe right now that it, he has to consume the devil of that thing in order to erase it from existence. But to be fair, there is the 0.0001% chance that it is whatever he eats gets erased from existence. In which case, that would be much scarier. It would be a pretty wild twist if we learned that, in fact, a burger is enough to undo all of this. I mean, it depends on how this is interpreted after this. Because A, this could increase fear in hamburgers, but alternatively, what if this, the saga of Chainsaw Man as it is known on Earth also includes the, the side note of, if you have a hamburger, he will not kill you. Like, if Kobani puts that on Twitter or something. Because then I imagine the hamburger devil would actually become much weaker, because humanity would see hamburgers as the only thing that prevents them from being killed by Chainsaw Man. Also, what was the bloody good gut feeling? I don't think we had any of that in this chapter. I mean, you can't even say it's the feeling of eating a hamburger, because that didn't happen in this chapter. No, Zaku, I refuse. It's not a burger eating joke. That is such a stretch. Like, if that were the motto of Family Burger, or if the chapter title was, like, lettuce, tomato, beef, then I would agree with it. But I feel like Bloody Good Gut Feeling is... I mean, maybe it was more burgery in the Japanese, but I feel like this, like, the way this is written, does not imply it's a burger. And even then, if it's a play on one of those weird diner songs, I mean... So much of this chapter involved a diner song that we didn't talk about. Or, I mean, that we did talk about, but, like, that does not correlate to the chapter title. Incidentally, did you know that in the southern US, there's a chain of restaurants called Waffle House? And Waffle House has, like, 80-plus songs that are in-house, that were, that don't air on the radio or anything, that only exist within Waffle House, talking about Waffle House. I did find that very fascinating as of late. Like, they have their own record label that only produces songs that are then played within Waffle House. I mean, Zaku, I feel like, Gasoline Addict is way closer to the idea of driving a car than Bloody Good Gut Feeling is to eating a burger. In any case, I am moving on. No, I refuse to continue this burger conversation. We are moving on to Dr. Stone, chapter 166. Ultimate Night. Now, of course, I was unable to prepare for the fact that I guess they did a popularity contest for science inventions. I mean, on the spot, what would I have possibly voted for? I mean, the Sulfa drugs make sense as a general, like, it was really cool if they built their way up to them. Sulfurina wouldn't count as a, like, science project. Like, it definitely has to be a project. Like, it has to be something that had, if not a roadmap. I think these all did have roadmaps, though. Like, I do like the cola, but it wasn't that interesting, all things considered. Hot air balloon was pretty cool. The cell phone is very iconic for how insane it is. Also, I would have really liked to see this, this entire shot, but Boichi has to then draw the quote-unquote cell phone in miniature in, like, in Gin's hand or something. Or, the tank, actually. The tank might have been pretty cool. Or, I mean, not cool, but, like, I think the tank could go up there as a really cool science invention. Oh, boy. I'm surprised the noodles didn't show up, actually. I mean, they probably do have, like, a full top 10 somewhere. But, like, I probably would have put the noodles above, even, like, above the katana. I'd probably put sulfa drugs above the noodles, though, so maybe sulfa drugs would be number one. In terms of, like, an overarching project they worked on. Like, the drone, I didn't really like the drone very much. I do think, like, the golden age of projects was back on Ishigami Village. Ooh, let me put this on the screen real quick so everyone can see it. So the top 10 is Cola, Katana, Sulfa Drug, Phone, Observatory, Bread, Car, Gold Spear, Perseus, Air Balloon. It's so, like, it's insane to look at this and to realize that, yeah, the Gold Spear is, like, it's not double the Perseus, but the Perseus is so low. Gun's not even on there. But yeah, I feel like I would have gone for Phone as number one. Like, Phone, Sulfa Drug, and then maybe the Perseus. Though no way. Phone, Sulfa Drug, and then maybe the drone? Or actually no. Probably the radio. Or I guess the radio is just an extension of the phone now that I think about it. I'll leave it at 2. Alright, so who is the ultimate knight? Like, the fact they're saying ultimate knight does not make me think of anyone from the Kingdom of Science. Like, we have multiple spear users, we have an archer, we have, you know, like, a samurai is what I'm thinking of. Like, we have many people who use katanas, but we have one samurai. So I assume the ultimate knight's actually going to be on Zeno's side, which I think could also be a really cool showdown later of the samurai versus the knights. Yeah, they got played. I mean, maybe not. As we did see, like, there is a resistance down below, so I think this will be more evenly matched than we thought it was going to be. Or that, you know, than Dr. Zeno thought it was going to be. Haha. How dare you think that a machine gun, which you can clearly see shooting bullets forward, could compare to the spear work, in which you cannot tell what is happening. The power of the spin is truly unbeatable. Yeah, and he's not even Hyoga. Like, he's not even the best impossible to understand spear user. I mean, yeah, fair. I guess if it's not on the popularity poll, how can we assume that a lesser weapon could possibly stand up to it? Okay, those are straight up grenades. Hot diggity dang. Oh. Okay, this is actually a really cool justification for why they would have essentially an anti-grenade martial arts. Like, that's such an insane thing to say. That sounds like something out of Battle Angel Alita. But that is fundamentally what this is. Like, it is a technique, or, you know, a technique that Matsuzaki designed specifically to take things that will explode and hurt everyone and fling them back into the air. Yeah! That's so cool! Now, I don't know how okay I am with him looking at the grenades and immediately going, are these things capable of widespread destruction? Like, that's such a leap in logic. I would have been a little bit better about this if he looked at them. I mean, either if someone had told him about grenades, like maybe if the Kingdom of Science was trying out grenades at some point, or alternatively, if he just took it as, I've trained to take, small objects that are flying, falling towards the air, and I know how to, send them backwards. I guess that's much less eloquent than this. True, homie. Like, I was thinking of it as, like, how didn't he know these weren't just, big balls that they were just dropping? But yeah, that would make no sense tactically. Plus, either way, you can reduce it down to bad thing falling slowly, so I'm going to get bad thing away, because it's bad. And yeah, that would have been bad for everyone. So many grenades. Especially if they want to keep the ship. And this is good. Like, the Kingdom of Science does have the advantage as far as, fighting enemies that are technologically superior, but that technological superiority is, the power that could destroy everything. Therefore, you can't really use it in close quarters. Of course, Novo. How could you possibly doubt the power of a katana for literally any situation? I mean, I don't know why they invented anything else after they invented the katana. It is the ultimate multi-use tool. Okay, now, who wins the dogfight? Right now, it seems like it is, of course, the Kingdom of Science, but knowing the way Dr. Stone works, I'm not totally sure about that. Oh. Pucci doesn't use it very often, which I'm very glad about, but I do like the very occasional use of the, what if I just zoom in on this panel that was drawn before? This, of course, runs in hard contrast to a few moments ago when I was reading Chainsaw Man, and I did not realize that the same panel was used twice. Did Did Stanley really miss? And at close range. So, is that some sort of, like, bomb, perhaps? Oh, that's not Stanley. This person isn't handsome enough to be Stanley. Ah. And it does actually make a lot of sense from a tactical perspective of, like, of course, if they wanted to get someone who they knew for a fact they wouldn't immediately go like, oh, that's not Stanley. Like, they would have to choose someone who looks like Stanley. And one of the only people they can find who looks like Stanley is a girl. She also does have sort of a vague Alita thing going on now that I think about it. I guess I'm mostly looking at the lips now. Like, the lips and the thing going on with her eyes. But yeah, absolutely not a good, like, replacement for Stanley in terms of Rule 34. Also, very cocky for someone who missed. It's I mean, it is a self-dunk, but it's also a, like, ha ha ha, I distracted you all this time. Stanley somewhere else, Stanley somewhere else. Now, I just realized that, oh boy. Is he on the ship? I mean, I guess that might be the ultimate big twist here of Stanley is the ultimate knight, and therefore none of the other fighters could possibly take him down. Oh, time for the star to make his entrance. Oh yeah, that's also, I mean, I don't want to get trapped in the constant, oh no, Thermite doesn't know what sexual is. But this looks bad, right? Right? Like, the way, like, clearly this is supposed to be her right cheek is above her left cheek. Standard to the way I'm looking at it. Like, this is left, this is right. But to me, it looks more like it's almost one leg that's just weirdly mutated. Like, it doesn't give me the nice curvature of a butt. It does feel like just this weird thing going on here. All right, here we go. Oh boy. I mean, that is Matsutake just being shot at close range. Now, I mean, we're not seeing bullet holes going through him, but at the same time, like, I mean, maybe Dr. Zeno made rubber bullets, but even then, at close range, like, rubber bullets are already very dangerous. And it is a tiny guy. I mean, I do find it kind of funny that we just hyped up his godly sniping skills, and then we're showing them off by him shooting someone at point-blank range. Also, to be fair, we don't know that there isn't some sort of, like, launch pad down here. Like, a big ol' spring-loaded mechanism where you stand on it, and then you pull a lever, and then it shoots you forward. Oh, the spear wasn't incomprehensible enough. Stanley was able to comprehend it and dodge. Jeez. Oh boy, that went right through the shoulder. I've pulled off a most elegant checkmate with my ultimate knight. Yeah. Also, like, having it be ultimate knight as in a knight on a, chessboard, as opposed to a Fukumoto-esque, like, simile knight, kind of bothers me a little bit. I really wanted to see Stanley in, like, knight's armor, which, I mean, to be fair, we might get it later. And I do think he looks cool enough here that I wouldn't have wanted to see him in a fictional design, when this design is cool enough. Also, I mean, as far as I know, there haven't been a whole lot of, like, Dr. Stone plastic toys for children, but the aesthetic of Dr. Stone, like, across all the factions, really does lend itself to merchandising. Like, this feels like something that I would find in the newest Kamen Rider series. It feels like you can spin the barrel and it'll make a sound. Homie, stop coming in chats. It's not allowed. Oh, you think that's checkmate? Right back at you. The true ultimate knight. Also, I did take this as, as a ha, it's so funny that Senku's replying even though they're not anywhere near one another. But if Tsukasa is physically there, then maybe Tsukasa also has, like, some sort of receiver. Maybe he was actually maybe Senku was listening to Dr. Zeno, like, as he was talking right there. Because, from what I can surmise from the movement, it does seem like, presumably they, Tsukasa got out of the tunnel somewhere all the way back here. Like, I don't think we're seeing any of the tunnel. And then he dashed forward, jumped, took out a guard over here, jumped over this guard, then zoomed up and is now going to gank Dr. Zeno. Also, I can't get over the fact that, yes, like with Stanley, I can accept the idea in my head that maybe they do have, like, a spring-loaded launch pad here that shot him super far up. Like, it is a wild thing to do, but at the same time, I can imagine how that could be tactically sound. But I don't think anything excuses the momentum here of Tsukasa jumping, like presumably running into the room. If, let's say he's being launched out of the room, he still had to jump here, jump over here, maybe weave under this guy. And presumably with every step, as his bare feet are hitting the ground, he is shattering the tile under it. Like, this, we cannot justify this as a, like, maybe he's slamming down onto the ground super hard via, some force. Like, this has to be him actually jumping around, and as he jumps and impacts the ground, he is shattering the floor beneath him. There's no other way to take it. No, I did not agree to the read Bleach every single Weekly Shonen Jump. I can't do that. I don't have the time. And you might think that's very counterintuitive, considering that you can, if you want to, read an entire chapter of Bleach in like 30 seconds. I mean, depending on the chapter. But I guarantee there were chapters back in the day where I did, properly look at all the art, I did properly read all of the text, and I almost certainly did read them in, maybe 30 seconds is too fast, let's say 1 minute. I definitely did that in the past, and yet, if I stream those chapters of Bleach, I know they're going to go on for like 10 to 20 minutes. Now, this was a extremely rad chapter, but not quite as rad as, oh no, I didn't rank Chainsaw Man. So, Chainsaw Man, I'm gonna put it above Undead Unluck. And then Dr. Stone is not on their level, but it was really, really good. I think I enjoyed the Me and Roboco chapter a bit better, though. Like, this chapter had a lot of awesome rule of cool, but for Dr. Stone in particular, like, I need a mix of rule of cool and also science for, like, the perfect top-tier Dr. Stone chapter. This was extremely good, but I do have to slide it under Me and Roboco. Katana versus burgers. Like, in terms of the concept, like, of course, I think anyone would rather have one katana versus one burger, because the one burger is not going to last you. But if you mean like the concept of katanas versus the concept of burgers, even then, like, I feel like burgers are inherently a very wasteful food. Like, beef is already, a big pain. It's a stressor on the environment. But on top of that, like, you need so many other foods that then you are, like, disassembling and putting together for the burger. Whereas, like, with the katanas are relatively straightforward to create, and at least in Dr. Stone, like in the way Dr. Stone shows them to be created. And then once you have katanas, that opens up, like, metalworking in general. Or I guess rather, you have to establish metalworking in order to have katanas. Whereas I don't know if there's that much of a benefit to having burgers. I mean, in a way, this is also a powerful show of the Kingdom of Science saying they won't kill. Like, in the sense of, it would be so much easier for Tsukasa to murder everyone he goes through and then just murder Dr. Zeno. Whereas, if he reveals that no one died during his invasion, that would be a very clear, like, yeah, we of the Kingdom of Science refuse to kill. Like, we've got the higher grounds. Though that said, I don't know if that's really going to help in this situation where Dr. Zeno clearly is not the kind of person who can be won over through sheer ideals. Like, I do think, I mean, obviously, the Kingdom of Science is gonna, win this. But I think it's got to be through a combination of ideals and also, like, an actual strategy. I think, Senku has to prove that he has a plan that will allow him to bring back the world without it being a dictatorship. Like, Dr. Zeno's a little evil, but so is Senku. And I think, Senku could bridge this by saying, like, I get that you want to rebuild the world in your image because you think it will be better, but I promise I will dedicate myself to bringing back the world and having it be better without having, one person be in control of it, because that's not sustainable. Yeah, like, especially with the amount of force that Tsukasa can create. Like, I was half joking when I was talking about how ridiculous it is that he can smash the ground, because we know Tsukasa's cheat is, he's got the insane combat abilities. So it's very possible that, like, I think it shows way more effort for him to use the spear and his natural power and to not kill anyone. Like, he has the ability to just blast through people like they're made out of butter. Anyways, that is Dr. Stone. I did rank it, right? Yes, I did. Let me just blast that in chat for you guys. You're right. It is also adult combat. I mean, it might be the fusion of his two impulses in that he gets to fight adults, but he cannot kill them. But yeah, Novo, I mean, Novo, I will say this to you directly. I really like this chapter of Black Clover, and I did think, like, legitimately having it be only 11 pages did add to why I liked it so much. It was such a like clear breath of fresh air. Like it did exactly what the chapter needed to do, and it wasn't really around for much longer. I do feel like in the volumes, it's going to be a perfect chapter for me personally. But as far as, week to week goes, comparing it against everything else, it is only 11 chapters worth of contents. And not a whole lot of that was, like, truly mind-shaking. It was more of a, we need to, like, there was a big defeat, and we have to regroup and find a way to get stronger. Which is fine, but, it's not up there with the comedy of me and Roboco, or the insanity of Chainsaw Man and Undead Unluck. It is arguably better than Our Blood Oath, but I gave Our Blood Oath the edge over it this time. Anyways, that is Dr. Stone. Let's move on to the finale. First of all, let me just quickly turn this into a author comments thing because I didn't actually put up a tab for that. But now it's time for My Hero Academia, number 284, Deep Blue Battle. I also kind of donked that up. Usually I try not to just show everything on the screen before I say the terms. I'll make sure when I'm doing the timestamps to not set up the timestamps so that you accidentally see this. Although it is the, the ending of the chapters, so I guess it's, there's wiggle room there. She's Big Howie? Ooh, really? I still need to catch up with 01 before I watch any of Saber. I just let it go to the wayside. Like, from what I've heard, 01's really good. It's just, I haven't been watching it week to week. So I gotta do the big binge before I get into Saber. But everything I've heard about Saber sounds pretty dope as well so far. Oh, the way Blackwave looks here, like, the way it's wrapping around him in the background looks super cool. It also has very vague Rasengan vibes. Oh, really? Saber's driver is voiced by All For One. To be fair, Novo, I feel like the reason we cut away was specifically because, like, some faction of heroes that I can't think of right now is going to step in and help. Like, in addition to, the people that, like, I don't know who it would be. I have genuinely no guesses, but I feel like someone's going to step in and save them. And so, like, My Hero as a narrative is cutting away for now so that, like, some actions can happen while we're not looking at them. Also, true. Like, we did see that it's not that Gigantomachia is about to kill thousands of people. He is actively killing thousands of unprotected civilians. But I mean, like, in terms of a counter to that, I feel like we're going to see that a little bit later. Also, what could Deep Blue Battle mean? Like, my immediate thought was, of course, underwater. But they're nowhere near water right now. Also, no one here really has a fighting underwater quirk. Ah, true. When I think Deep Blue, I automatically go to underwater, but I guess it could be, the deep blue sky. Oh boy, so he's got all the quirks now. Huh. I'm wondering if that's actually what we're going for. After I steal one for all, I'll send you straight to heaven. Not one of his cooler lines, but I mean, Shigaraki is really the ultimate villain in the sense that if he has a line that I find extremely dumb, that's fine. That fits the way he is as a character. If he has a really cool line, that also fits him really well. Like, there are no lines right now that do not work for him. There are lines that are better and worse, but they all do fit him right now. Yeah, it does look like he has a giant forehead here. I think it's because there is a, like, lock of hair going over his forehead that is now pure white, so we can't see it at all. It looks like he's unlocking his true big brain powers. Meanwhile, Bakugo screams internally impotently as he sees that Deku is operating on such a higher level than he is. I can see a little Superboy Prime energy coming from Shigaraki. I also would not be surprised if All For One had a reality manipulation quirk on a low level, and we do see Shigaraki using his I can never remember what it's called. Sorry, his decay on reality while screaming. And then we learn that is, of course, why various things throughout the world of My Hero Academia have been retconned. Okay, I gotta step back from that one. That's a bad road. It's not funny. I gotta move back. Afro Deku, the true final form. And Ponytail Uraraka, also extremely powerful. It does feel a little bad to have Sarah around as, he started off as hey, he's kind of like Spider-Man, sort of. Like, he's got that similar vibe in the way he moves around. And now he's been reduced to, what if there was just a guy who could teach Deku how to use his quirk a lot better, so then he can become irrelevant? Oh my gosh, I didn't even notice the Afro speech bubble. Or, like, I didn't realize that the speech bubble was inherently supposed to be the Afro. That's so good. That's just good paneling. Also, Kachikachan is such a good phrase. I wonder if it sounds as good in Japanese. All right. Yeah, Uraka wouldn't have been told, like, hey, by the way, you're training him in how to use float, an ability that he also has. So, of course, she would assume it is oh, I'm here because I am good at, like, because I am using my wires to pull myself around while I'm, like, weightless. But yeah, I also do think, like, it's not too much of a stretch for them to just, to build in this way for him to develop float as as just saying, it's an extension of making him use Black Whip better. Because they do flow into each other very well. Now, is this a pun? That, propulsion via air force both meaning literally using the force of the air, but also it is the pun of, his air force techniques. I mean, I guess all of his air force techniques are a pun, in that they sound like he is talking about some sort of, like, like an air force, like an air division of the military, while at the same time it is literally him using the force of the air to hit things. It's something where I'm certain I understood it as soon as it happened, but I've never said it out loud. Oh, that's a good point too. Like, in that case, they should try and like have him train in, like, circumstances that are similar to all of the other predecessors' quirks, that he slowly gets a hang for it, and he has, it may unlock the genetic memory of how to use it. It really depends on what the other quirks are. Like, that, none of the other predecessors, as far as I can remember, like, of the ones we have physically seen, none of them had, like, a mutation type quirk, where they do look, like, fundamentally different. So it should be okay. Like, for example, with float, I do think Deku could play it off when he's, sparring with other people as, oh, I'm just able to extend my hang time, but through use of Black Whip. Like, you thought I was floating in the air, but it is just me, like, using Air Force very, carefully in order to force myself upwards. But then it depends on, like, what else there is. Like, yeah, Black Whip is extremely difficult to explain if you don't just outright say it's a separate thing. Oh no, are we trying to say that Uraka could be his beard? Like, every time he floats, she does have to just say, oh, by the way, I'm making him float, just so you know. Right. It's not only the wicked who seek power. I assume also by that night. I'm assuming he means the Kachan versus Deku fights. Like, the second one, obviously. I could be missing something else. But, like, specifically, like, how someone who has great power bestowed on them needs to think very carefully about how it puts others at risk. That can only be that scene, right? I mean, I guess it could also be when Bakugo was kidnapped, and then he had to then think about how, just by the very nature of having that strength, he was a target, and by being a target, he was then targeted by villains who put everyone else in danger. In the notebook about the successors, your summary of the fourth was kind of half-finished. Only that one. Meanwhile, you wrote down detailed notes for the others, like the cause of death for the fifth, sixth, and seventh. Why is that? I don't think it's, like... I get why Bakugo would be bringing this up in universe, but I think the way more interesting thing about this is that, like, he does know detailed notes for all the others. Like, only the fourth was half finished, but all the other successors were strictly detailed, which does mean that, like, Deku and Bakugo must now know about all of the other successors. They must know about all the other quirks. It is now just the audience that does not understand what exactly is in store. Oh no, is that an actual theory? Like the time-traveling Bakugo thing? I mean, it does seem like, between Muscular and now the fourth, like, there's a lot of Bakugo's dad/ancestor/him but going through time that is just floating out there. There's a lot of Bakugo to be unaccounted for. The mysterious legacy of Bakugo's dad continues onwards. I mean, that is extremely insulting towards his actual dad, who does not look like anyone's idea of what adult Bakugo/Bakugo's dad looks like. Let's actually pull this up. Thanks for posting it. Yeah, like, that's definitely not where I would have gone with in terms of, like, Bakugo. Okay, that one. Again, let me pull this up real quick. Yeah, that one definitely has more of a Bakugo-esque, like, outline. Also, of course, we have the more flowy, more spiritual, half-baked All Might here. I have not yet forgotten the other theory, that is, what if All Might has a quirk? Like, what if he is not, in fact... I mean, I think my least favorite idea is, what if All Might slash Toshinori had a quirk that he never awoke? And then that'll show up in Deku, and then also Deku had a quirk that did not wake up, and then he'll add that to All for One. But that's the thing, like, if it is time-traveling Bakugo, then I could see him having an explosion. But if it's Bakugo's grandfather, that's not possible. Like, from what we know about the quirk singularity, like, Bakugo is a clear example of the ever-developing quirk singularity. Like, he has two parents that, neither of which have extremely powerful quirks, or, extremely destructive quirks. But when combined, he then has the nitroglycerin that comes out of his palms, which is extremely powerful. So, like, presumably, Bakugo's grandfather would have had a quirk, like, on either side. His maternal or his paternal grandfather would have had much, less explosive powers. I mean, I guess you could work it into, like, maybe his grandfather on his mom's side had, some sort of, like, creating, like, sort of like Creaty's power, but instead of, like, he could just make blocks of glycerin and then explode them, maybe? But then on Dad's side, yeah, it just wouldn't fit the narrative thus far. And though I guess it could also be something where, like, it's a power that just sort of generally creates something, but then if you use it in tandem with one of Deku's other quirks, it would then be extremely powerful. As sort of a, hey, Bakugo, like, I have to use 4 of my quirks in order to be as powerful as you, or, in order to recreate your quirk. Therefore, you are my equal for now. I mean, that's a scary parallel, because that does imply at some points that Deku will be completely out of commission, and only then will Bakugo be able to get over his inferiority complex and then shine at his fullest. Also, like, even Toothpaste Tongue would not be necessarily a worthless quirk because of, again, all the other abilities he has. Like, imagine Toothpaste, but it floats, and also you can fling it at people with extreme force. Oh, man, Horikoshi's having the time of his life at Black Whip. It's so cool. Toothpaste laser. Now, I wonder if this is a metaphorical thing of, like, he is, like, Shigaraki is taking hits, but also, like, all for one, or one for all is so powerful that it's still able to make them stick. Or if this is a more, like, if this is a more literal, one for all is designed to fight all for one, and therefore it can, do lasting damage. Like, if there is sort of a spiritual, these quirks are opposites, and therefore, like, only my attacks can, hurt him, the thing going on. Also, Shigaraki in this situation does remind me a lot of when I was in high school and I had cracked my, like, I digitally cracked my iPod Touch in order to get in-app purchases for games for free. So I would play, like, some of the earliest, like, iPod Touch shooters and stuff, but I would have, like, an infinite number of in-app purchases. So I could have, like, almost limitless ammo, almost limitless life. And yet, even then, because I was a high schooler who was bad at video games, I would occasionally find someone playing the game for realsies who would then be able to fight me and kill me. Even though I was absolutely no bones about it, just straight up cheating. That's really the energy I get from here. It is the real, oh no, I turned on all the cheats on my trainer file, though. I don't understand how you're fighting me. Now, is this where Shigaraki gets taken down? No matter what happens to me. No more arms! Very well played, Novo. I mean, another one of the super big theories that I've definitely heard of before is the, one of the predecessor's quirks is going to be a regeneration quirk, and therefore, like, the damage Deku's taken up until now will be permanent, but now he can blow off his arms, then immediately regrow them, and it's fine. Which I would hate. I really do like the idea of him losing one arm, like, because then you could get the big robot arm, which is slowly becoming a, like, overused trope. There's a lot of series I've seen that are now doing the, hey, the main character loses an arm, but it's okay because then they get a robot arm that is an objective upgrade. But for Deku, a robot arm would not be an objective upgrade because All for One wouldn't be able to go through it. Also, Novo, if you genuinely were blind to this, then extremely well played. I assumed you set that up, as a goof. Oh man, what if Deku had a robot arm and then he spooled Black Whip into it, and then he put All for One into Black Whip in the arm, and therefore he would still be able to do everything he can normally do. I mean, old Joseph was completely fine with destroying his arm repeatedly in the middle of a journey across, a journey from Japan to Egypt. It was fine. It worked out. I'm sure All Might has money. I guess he doesn't. Never mind. Like I'm sure All Might has some money, but I highly doubt he has enough to build robot arms for Deku every single arc. Yeah, there was an entire oil-funded organization developed, for the sole purpose of helping the Joestars, and then to a lesser extent, for the sole purpose of fixing Joseph's hand all the time in Part 3. I mean, it depends on how being a hero works in Japan. Like, do heroes get salaries? It seems like they just kind of make companies, and then those companies, like, do hero work, and then they do seem to get paid, but I'm not totally sure how. Like, All Might is definitely the kind of person who I could see saying, I'm not going to take any money because I want to be the ultimate hero, and then as a result, he has no money. That, and also, I mean, this is a bit extra-canonical, but in extra-canonical sources, we have seen that All Might was, All Might destroyed a lot of property, and then he then had to pay for all of that property, which I imagine would also really cut into the amount of money he ends up making overall. Like, it would even out to 0, but then, that doesn't really help him in terms of having fat stacks to give to Deku in order to make a big arm for him. Oh, I mean, Novo, I have no question that Best Genius Levi's exist. I have no question that the current, top 10 heroes all have big brand sponsorships. Like, if you want to get a pillow filled with feathers, you can definitely get a Hawks branded pillow. I'm sure of it. What I'm thinking specifically is, I don't know if All Might made money. Like, we know All Might had merchandise for sure, but even then, like, I could see Toshinori being the kind of person who would say, I want all the proceeds from all of the All Might hoodies and stuff made to go to charity. And as a result, he would have 0 money. Oh, can you buy Mirko watermelons? It's an extremely specific niche, but I feel like those would sell very well. Oh no! I feel like Ryuku's branding is way more upper class. I don't think she's going that low for sponsorship deals. Oh, a midnight body pillow that has a little bit of Midnight's Somnambulist's juices in it. So when you hug it, you actually do inhale it and it helps you go to sleep. That would be so good. Like, I actually do use some essential oils that, I mean, I don't really believe in a lot of the outlandish claims about essential oils, but there's an oil that I specifically use that just smells nice, and I use it to go to sleep sometimes. And if you could get a pillow that just has the sleepy juice in it, and then you hug it and you go to sleep, like, that's so perfect. I mean, presumably Midnight's sleepy juice doesn't kill you. Anyways, that is enough of my hero for now. I'm sure we could talk about the various juices of the various pro heroes until the end of time. So I've got to do a hard cutoff. Good chapter of my hero? It's definitely better than me and Roboco, I'd say. So below Undead Unluck, above me and Roboco. Here's the final ranking. It looks extremely small, but I'm very happy with this, like, group of manga right now. This feels like a good thing to do. Like, it's manageable. I can actually read all of these in, how long has this been? Almost 3 hours? I could probably speed that up a little bit. Also, that does include, like, the pre-discussion, and then, like, 10 minutes in between the pre-discussion and the actual discussion. But yeah. Oh no! Oh no! No, I don't agree to that, no! Alright, we're moving on to the author comments. I will, of course, include the author comments in my ranking of manga, but I will not rank the author comments. That is also a hard line I have to just draw in the sand and stick to forever. The end of summer means a lot of dead bugs, so I recommend looking at the ground. It's a little macabre. It's also not a bad comment, honestly. Like, it has a weird vibe to it, but I do like it. A big thank you to everyone who sent me letters about my one-shot. They really motivated me. Again, good second author comments. There's only so much you can do. There are only so many comments you can make that are, hey, I'm really happy I'm running in Jump, but so far, 2 for 2. The spelling of Stanley was slightly off. It'll be Stanley in the graphic novels. Sorry. I mean, that's definitely a kanji thing. It looks like the English release corrected that. These toilet paper rolls with 5 times the paper are a lifesaver. 5 times! Now, to be fair, pre-pandemic, my parents did buy just, like a set of normal quote unquote toilet paper rolls, like, the super cheap ones, because we didn't really have any. Like, we had some from Costco, and until now, we haven't had to actually dig into the really bad ones. I mean, even now, we don't need to dig into the bad ones, but I want to. Like, we gotta use them eventually. And they are very small, so maybe the ones I'm thinking of as usually being like, overstuffed, but still not ridiculous. I guess those might be 5 times the amount of paper as a quote-unquote normal toilet paper roll. I will take your word for it. When I think of Gege Akutami, I do not think of pooping. I often bump my small toe and stuff. My assistants say they never bump their toes. What a bunch of liars. See, I would actually also agree that I never bump my small toe. I do bump my big toes quite a bit. Like, just as a result of, like, walking into something or, like, stumbling. But the small toe specifically, that feels so much harder to do. Like, even if you're not wearing shoes or anything. Or, yeah, like, even if you're barefoot. I guess operates under the same principle, though, of, like, you're walking too close to the edge of a door and then you clip it. Yeah, not my personal experience, but... While working on my storyboards, my pet Java Sparrow often bites my hand. So cute, so painful. Is a Java Sparrow a type of sparrow? Oh, it is. Oh, that is cute. It's got sort of a Emperor Penguin sort of vibe to its face. Or not Emperor, more of a, oh, what's the type I'm thinking of? Like a puffin sort of look to its head. Yeah, that's really cute. Like, yeah, that's such a thick beak. So big. Like, if you were to flip the beak backwards, that beak would be the size of most of its head. Oh, such a cute idea. The return of Mr. W, saving Yuki Tabata's life by giving him fruits. Food comment, food comment. Oh no, the ranking is slowly dropping. Oh no, Komoto! The ranking of the author comments is slowly dropping! No, I refuse. I refuse to accept that as a good comment. I work pretty far ahead on my pages, so by the time the chapter is turned in and printed, I feel nostalgic about it. I thought I was going to feel that about the podcast, but due to things going on in the background of the podcast, I feel like I'm not going to have time to be nostalgic about any of the episodes that are coming out soon. Oh, so many food comments. Okay, so overall, author comments, I had so little to say about them. Do I dare rank this above anything? I can't. This was a good Black Clover chapter. Oh yeah, I should. Thank you very much for the reminder. So, that is Weekly Shonen Jump. Author comments are at the very bottom of the ranking, so I'm not going to repost them. Tequila Zaku and I started a podcast called We Watch 100 Isekai. It's a little choppy right now. We're considering ways to improve it, make it better, make it more streamlined. That should hopefully take effect next time an episode comes out. But yeah, I can equally understand why it is a tough watch right now, and also why it is cowardly to not do so. But yeah, so if it was your bag, please let us know. I made a channel in the server specifically for We Watch 100 Isekai, our podcast in which we watch 100 Isekai. Check it out. It's now on Google Podcasts. It's now on a bunch of other podcasting things that no one's ever heard of. It's probably going to take a while before it gets to iTunes and other places people care about. It's on Spotify right now. But yeah, so leave any chat about the podcast in our podcast channel. We will take it to heart. We will improve it. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you all so much for attending. It has been a good time. Now, we finally got the entire thing down to 3 hours. We can do a little better than that. I don't know where I'm going to trim things, but 3 hours feels a little excessive. Anyways, that's it. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye for now. Yeah.